guys, what's up? It's Joe Raiti from Raiti's Rides. I'm here in this very nice, tranquil, scenic area to do a little bit of a review on this vehicle right here. This is it. This is the all-new, first time ever, 2022 Hyundai Ioniq 5. But before we get into this all-wheel drive, twin electric motor EV, let's talk about what's going on here. Hyundai. They've been around since the 1980s. 1987, the Hyundai Excel, you could get it as a hatchback, you could get it as a sedan. Boy, oh boy, have things changed for Hyundai and for the auto industry, especially fast forward to 2022 with this Ioniq 5. This is a pure electric vehicle, but you know what? This is also gonna be a sub-brand. They're looking at Ioniq as being a sub-brand of Hyundai to really bring to the forefront all of the different types of vehicles that people are going to want that will be powered through electric motors. Now, Hyundai is making a promise. They're saying that by 2025, they will have 23 new EVs to introduce to the market. Quite an undertaking, but you know what? If anybody could do it, it's definitely this brand that really has changed the way that people view them. Once just all about economy has now turned into a lineup where vehicles, no matter what your needs are, and of course the premium brand known as Genesis, really doing the business something for everybody. Now with this Ioniq 5, this is the main competition to the sister brand Kia with the EV6 GT line. Now if you have not seen that review, I will leave one of them, because I did two of them, I will leave one of them at the end of this video. But I really want to find out, has Hyundai done enough to separate itself from the EV6 GT line? And is this the better electric vehicle? Not only coming from Kia, but also that other major brand when it comes to electric vehicles, the one that's on the tip of everybody's tongue, of course, Tesla with the Model Y and the Model 3. So let's go ahead, let's dive into this Ioniq 5 and see what makes it so unique, and is this that standout electric vehicle? Let's go dive in and check out our 2022 Ioniq 5. Right off the bat, the proportions. Now, the first time seeing this vehicle in person is gonna surprise you, because in photographs and in videos, it looks a little bit smaller than the actual dimensions. This is really a larger compact crossover SUV. Starting at the front of the business, you're gonna get your own unique identity, separating you from the EV6 and definitely separating you from Tesla. I love the way they use these building blocks, these squares for all their designs. It's like the building block of electricity. So you'll see that you have these LED daytime running lamps and turn signals and LED headlights. Very sporty for a electric crossover SUV. Working your way down, I like the way that they cut the coefficient drag by keeping everything smooth. Nothing meant to look like a fake vent, but I like the way they put some design. This is a way to make a bland area look interesting without it being all fake with these fake vents and stuff. But I'm digging this almost satin steel appearance to the lower bodywork. Now, as we come across the front nose, there's some interesting things to point out. First of all, you are gonna get a larger piece of gloss black, but if you look closely, you'll see the square design. This building block square design is everywhere you look. You're gonna have a forward-facing camera. This actually lights up LED when you're charging your Ioniq 5, and it looks really wicked at night, especially when it's parked out in your driveway. Some more of that satin steel aluminum finish, and then these two guys right here are actually doors that will open and close, because we do use a liquid-cooled lithium-ion battery. These doors will open, these flaps will open depending on cooling of that lithium-ion battery, but it looks really neat the way it's all closed up. And what's fascinating is that Kia used a vehicle known as the Stratos as their kind of design philosophy. This vehicle is all about believe it or not, a WRC rally car known as the Lancia Delta Integrale. So it's kind of interesting how they both went after that rally car-esque style and bringing it to the EV front. Now, when we get up onto the hood, you'll notice a nice large chrome Hyundai badge. Like I said, this badge has come a long way. Everything else is going to be smooth. They actually have a nice rise to the hood on both fenders, and then everything kind of just coasts up towards the windshield, but really a unique separation from the EV6 and definitely from the marshmallow looking Tesla Model Y. It looks like a jelly bean, a gross flavored jelly bean. Now, when we come around the bend, what are we working with? Wheel and tire setup. Check it out. We got 20-inch wheels. Crisscross lace design. I'm really digging the way they got this star in the center, especially with the lug nut cover over the center lug nuts there. But really interesting design. 20-inch wheel. Looks great with our particular example of an Ioniq 5. You got this metallic flat gray all the way around the fender treatment, which I'm actually liking it. It's better than gloss black. It's definitely better than flat black. And you can see how the hood is also part of the fender where it meets with the top of that flared fender area, but gigantic wheels, 255 on the width, 45 series sidewall. And remember, we got twin electric motors, so you're gonna get all-wheel drive that's gonna keep you planted to the ground. And this thing has some get up and go. Now, what's interesting is that the chassis is set up for rear-wheel drive. So if you get a single electric motor example, the motor will be out back, but because we got dual motors, one motor up front, one motor out back. Speaking of the back, let's head that way. Sliding down the side in full lock door position, the mirrors are gonna electrically tilt in. I like the way we did that to showcase there's more of the blocks, the squares with the turn signals. We do have 360-degree cameras, and you'll notice along the bottom, those angular lines. This is something that Hyundai is bringing into the Tucsons, into the Sonatas, into the Elantras, all this very angular line. It fits well with the futuristic style. We have flush-mounted door handles, and you'll notice how they worked the bottom sill area to mimic what was happening on the nose with these slots that they put into the material, and just a little bit of gloss black, just a splattering of gloss black to kind of balance everything out. Now, the overall dimensions, like I said, I'm 6 feet tall. You can see the size of this vehicle. You do have a full panoramic sunroof, plus they blacked out the whole roof. So thank you, Hyundai, for doing that. See how nice it looks, especially with a white vehicle? It just looks really slick. You got a blacked out shark fin antenna. Great job working the rear passenger windows without the need of any kind of extra glass for the rear pillars. We got our flush mounted door handles, and then that very sharp body line comes all the way to the end. You'll notice just how far that long roof spoiler extends off the back, and it's got extra aero there. So it's not just a flat slab like you see on a lot of SUVs and stuff. It actually has that aerodynamic style. Even the way they did the tail lights, the third brake light up there, you'll notice, look. No rear wiper. The wiper is tucked underneath to handle that, and you don't even need a wiper because it's just gonna coast right off. You got your Hyundai badge, the Ioniq 5. Like I said, Ioniq is gonna be a sub-brand of electrification from Hyundai. All the different square element designs. You can see our taillights, full LED, all lit up. And then look at how smart they were. The DOT required reflectors, they actually dropped into the slotted area on the rear. So smart. And then coming all the way across, you got your H-Track badge. That is Hyundai's all-wheel drive technology. They're in WRC, guys. They're winning championships. They're winning rallies with that H-Track system. And then I love the way they work the lower rear diffuser area of the bumper. Just something really slick. And it looks like some type of crazy rally car from the future from the back. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to the interior. We're gonna talk numbers, and we're gonna talk about what Hyundai's bringing to the table with the Ioniq 5. All right, guys, before we get to that interior, let's talk about what's happening underneath the hood. Now, underneath the hood, you do see something that looks like a plastic cover that you would find on an internal combustion engine. I do like the way on the Hyundai cover, you got a little bit of blue here that designates this as an electric vehicle. It says EV. You lift this up, what do you have? Check it out, the snack storage. We got some Sour Patch Kids. We got some powdered donuts in there. You could easily put a couple more things. Or if you don't want to hide the snacks up front, you could actually put the charging cord as well underneath that cover. But what is underneath all that plastic? Up front, like I said, you have an electric motor. Out back, you have an electric motor. Combined, it's 320 horsepower, 446 pound-feet of torque. You do have that lithium-ion battery pack in the bottom of this vehicle. That's going to lower your center of gravity. You do have a direct drive transmission. The vehicle 0 to 60, 4.9 seconds, quarter mile in 13.6, top speed 115 miles per hour. It weighs 4,650 pounds. Range on the dual motor is going to be 256 miles. That equates to 110 mpges in the city, 87 mpges on the highway. And if you're looking for maximum range, you could get the single rear-wheel drive motor that will give you an estimated 303 miles to a single charge. The best news is using DC fast chargers, you could actually go from 10% battery life to 80% in 18 minutes. So that's the good news when we find with charging, but it's nice to have that front mounted trunk area to put the charging cord if this is where you want to keep it to kind of free up the cargo space. But why don't we go ahead, let's get to that interior and see what Hyundai's bringing to the table with this Ioniq 5. All right, guys, here we are inside the all-new 2022 Ioniq 5 from Hyundai. I know you're saying to yourself, well, Joe, I'm very curious about this vehicle. I did like the EV6 when you featured it. I'm not buying a Tesla because I don't want to be like my neighbors. They're annoying anyways. How much is this Ioniq 5? Because it really has me kind of wanting to go towards that electrification stage in my life when driving. That's a very good question. MSRP starting for the Ioniq 5, single motor rear wheel drive setup, over 300 miles of range, is going to be around $44,000. Fully loaded top of the line dual motor, you're looking at an MSRP of $55,000. Let's see what you get for the money to the door panels. Now this one definitely has the modern, very futuristic white exterior with the white interior, but I am digging it, but I know it's not for everybody. Soft touch material, I like the stitching up top. The way the door handle is sort of just floating in mid-space looks really wild. The armrest, very soft touch, no gloss black. I like the silver buttons on the switchgear, and even the way that they work some different materials in the middle of the door panel, and then there's that square design brought throughout the whole interior. Now the door pocket is a little tight, but you can still get, I would say, 4 bananas and a small smoothie from Jamba Juice. And you got the Bose sound system with a good looking speaker grill cover. Like the style that they did there. Now going from the door panel to the dash, I'm glad they went with a gray. It really helps with the two-tone in here. Simulated stitching, soft touch material, the way they did all of the styling, it's well thought out. And then guess what? You get to the infotainment side of things, you're gonna get a over 12-inch infotainment system. Let me know how you think about the style. I don't mind the way it's mounted here. It actually works really well, and I'm so glad they didn't do like other brands and just dump a bunch of gloss black. Having the gray finish actually really helps, just let alone aesthetically, but also using it as well. Is it a touchscreen? Of course. You got your navigation, you got all your connectivity, your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. We do have 3 separate screens. So this is your home screen, tells you the weather. Right now it's 57 degrees here in sunny Florida. We got our Ioniq 5 with our, you can see the lithium-ion battery pack in the bottom of the vehicle. We're at 98% charge. Tells you how much range you have. And then you can swipe over and get to your different icons. So there's technically 2 pages of icons. You could pull up your EV icon and display exactly what's going on, where your first charging station is going to be, all that good stuff. So you can keep the wheels rolling in your Ioniq. Then you go back, we go into setup. And here's where you could actually change some things in your vehicle settings. So you go into vehicle, and one thing I wanted to show off to you is head-up display. So we go into head-up display, display mode. What's really cool is you could have that augmented reality mode. What that means is it actually displays a vehicle. When you get close behind another physical vehicle or real vehicle in front of you, it has a virtual reality car to let you see the distance. And then this area that's blue here will actually change color. You could do standard mode if you want. If you're not into augmented reality, or you can just disable the whole head-up display altogether. I kind of like the augmented reality mode. It really brings a new piece of technology in there and makes it easier to drive. You could then also go and go down into your clusters. That's for your different settings with your different themes. You could change up how everything is done with service intervals when it tells you that you need to have service done to the vehicle, or you just go right back home. You got your quiet mode, your valet mode. One other thing I wanted to show you in setup is that there is an area where you can go into, you'll see in a second here, we could go down to things like seating. So you could go into seating, easy access in and out, door lights, all that kind of stuff. Very well done through the system here. Now I'm going to throw the car into reverse. There's your backup camera, super clear resolution, 360. And then of course, look at that. There we are. There's the woodsy scene. And then when you go right back into park, you're right back home again. Nicely done. Soft touch material. You got your start stop button, dual climate control. And I like the way you could do the climate in the infotainment, or you could do it right here. You want to lower the fan speed? You could do that. You could bring it up. And there's our seat controls. You got heated steering wheel. I'm going to go back to home on that. And then because we are in an electric vehicle, you got a flat bottom floor. What that does is it gives you lots of usability. You look at the space here, we got 10 Twinkies in the space, a USB-A and a 12 volt. So looks are really deceiving. You definitely have a lot more room here. Then we have this like central cup holder area, which is really cool, the way it's mounted. And I'm telling you, it's at the perfect height. And then look at all the storage space underneath the armrest that lifts out of the way. Ding dongs, devil dogs, big bag of Skittles. You could put a Merce, you could put a purse, you could put a sack, you could put a satchel, whatever you want here. You got wireless charging and then 2 more USB-As. So they got you connected all the way through this Ioniq 5. Push this back down, nice soft material. This even opens up. So now you could put your favorite candy bars, maybe the Twix, the Three Musketeers. You could easily put, I would say 4 Three Musketeers, and you're not gonna kill any of the Musketeers by having 4 of them in there and closing the lid. Seats, super soft. There's that square design I was telling you about. Nice bolstering without being too over the top. I like the piping is great. You have electric assist for the passenger, electric assist, of course, for the driver, and then you got this super duper panoramic sunroof. Nice one-touch operation, really brings in the light to the interior, especially with this lighter color interior. I'm 6 feet tall, plenty of headroom in here, but why don't you come over with the business end, because there's a couple tricks I want to show you this Ioniq 5 does on the business end. Come on. All right, guys, here we are, business time, behind the wheel. You got a nice Ioniq 5 sill plate to welcome you into your vehicle every time. You're also going to get some really cool blue ambient lighting, which is nice at night. You're going to see a plethora of buttons here and switches, and this driver's seat does something that your Tesla does not do, and I'll show you that in a few seconds. Steering wheel, I'm actually really digging. I don't mind the oval shaped horn button. What's weird is they didn't put a Hyundai badge or an Ioniq badge. It just has 4 squares there, so that's kind of weird. But I do like the flat bottom. You got your drive mode button like a Formula One wheel right there. As you're driving, you could go through the different modes. You got your paddles to go through the 3 different levels of regen braking, and you'll notice all the nice fine touches over everything with your light stalks and also your windshield wiper stalks. And then to actually shift it, it's all the way over here. You're gonna twist this knob here to go into drive, neutral, reverse, and of course park. The dash is a 12.3-inch digital display. You got your corner cameras that light up for your turn signals. And then you'll also notice you got your drive modes. When I go into the different modes, sport, everything changes on the screen, and it also shows you your torque distribution and power usage. So really nice to have all of that display right there, plus the head-up display on top of it. But why don't we go ahead and get into the back seat and see how much room your passengers have in this new Ioniq 5. Right, guys, one thing I want to show you that this Ioniq 5 has that no other vehicle, electric vehicle has, is that on the driver's side, you actually have a full recline mode with an actual cushion for underneath your legs. Watch this. I'm gonna go ahead and extend the lower cushion here. This is not for when you're driving, but for when you are, say, waiting for the charging to be done, you could actually take a nap. So you could go into your full recline mode, and then here we are, relaxing and taking a nap while the car's charging. That to me is well thought out and kind of really cool and interesting, something different. But why don't we go ahead, let's get into the back seat and see how much room your passengers are gonna have in this Ioniq 5. Hey guys, backseat time, and this is where the Ioniq 5 really flexes its muscle. There's a ton of room back here, not only headroom, but also passenger volume everywhere. Because of the flat floor, you're just freeing up the amount of space in here. Now the bad news is, the zonk, is that they put these cargo nets in the back, and you know how I feel about these. You put a dagger or a switchblade back there, and it's just gonna rip right through that material. You do have USB-A's. Kind of surprising that they don't have any USB-C's in here. And you got a nice place for Tootsie Rolls. So you can fill this up with Tootsie Rolls for the family trip. Being back here is very comfy, even with the lithium-ion battery pack underneath this vehicle. And then guess what? You pull this down, you get a nice soft armrest, 2 cup holders, and what I really think is smart is where they put the AC vents nicely in the frame. And that silver touch, I'm hoping some of the finishes in this Ioniq 5, they bring into their other Hyundai vehicles. But why don't we go ahead, let's get in the back seat and see how much cargo room we have in this electrified crossover SUV. All right guys, cargo area time. Now before I let you back here, I want to show you where the charge port door is. It is at the rear, and it's cool because it uses an electric motor. You just hit the squares here, opens right up. That's where you're going to plug in. You can see we are fully charged because all the squares are lit up. And then to close it, you're just going to hit that button and it closes right up. Very, very cool, very slick. Let's go ahead and check out the cargo. You hit that button, nice electric assist, just like the charge port door, lifts right up. And this is where the Ioniq 5 is just mind-blowing. How much space you have. Very, very low cargo floor. You got a 12 volt, which is awesome. So you could go to the beach, you could plug your things in. Remember, you could also plug exterior things into the charge port, like a projection system to watch a movie in the woods if you wanted to. Everything else is going to be plastic material. You lift this up, not a lot of storage. So good thing they have the storage up front, but you could probably put a box of Twinkies on each side because we do need to keep room for the tire mobility kit because we don't have a spare. And then to fold the seats down, it's a little bit of a pain in the butt because you got to come over here to the passenger doors. But once you do, you could open up that space so you could go make the Costco run. You could run to Home Depot and really load it up to get that stuff that you need. Now, if you're wondering, well, Joe, how much space do we have? With the seats up, it's almost 30 cubic feet of space. With the seats down, you're looking at over 60 cubic feet of space, almost totally flat. And that's with the lithium-ion battery pack in the bottom of the vehicle and all-wheel drive. But you know what? Speaking of all-wheel drive, if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get electrified. Let's go on throttle in the new Ioniq 5. All right, guys, we're in this 2022 Ioniq 5. I'm putting it into sport mode. And if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle, here we go. Yeah. That H-Track all-wheel drive system planting you to the ground. And I'm telling you, for a larger compact crossover SUV, this thing is gonna surprise you in the handling department because of how low the center of gravity is from where those batteries are. But watch this handling on the brakes. He's very balanced. Look at this. Very, very balanced. Brakes feel good. Now, obviously, this is not a high-performance electric vehicle, but definitely this is the joy you could have because of that instant torque. I mean, we're talking about 320 horsepower, all of that torque hitting, all at the flip of a switch, and you are off and running. I love how quiet it is in here. I'm so glad there's not all these different electric sounds that you could choose from the pump in here, because I like just the slight hum from the electric motors and everything else, the sound deadening. All the materials in here are spot on the money when it comes to quality, and I'm hoping that these materials will trickle into the other Hyundai vehicles, whether they be EV or not. I did do a little research before we started the drive. The 4 squares, that's Morse code and on the steering wheel, and it's Morse code for the letter H. So how cool is that? They took a styling cue, those squares that are throughout the whole exterior and interior design of the vehicle, and then figured out, hey, let's put 4 of them, and that's Morse code for the letter H. And remember, Samuel Morse, he's the guy that came up with Morse code. He is the guy that came up with the telegraph, and that was obviously the earliest form of communication, even before telephones. So a little history lesson there. But I'm really digging the way that it's nice and balanced, good feedback from the electric steering, and getting to the infotainment, the large digital display, everything is so easy to see what's going on at a glance, and I really like that. These seats, let's talk about this. Now, with this being a vehicle that you're not gonna be stopping at the gas station very often, because you're just gonna be stopping for snacks, obviously, the seats are very comfortable. For a long range drive, the seats are comfy, and I do like the way that with like the navigation and stuff, you can easily find out where the charging stations are, get on that fast supercharger and get charged at a fairly quickly pace from, like I said, 10% all the way up to 80%. It's interesting how you have a column shift with the shifter being on the right-hand side of the steering column, but I do like how intuitive everything is well laid out. And that's what's fantastic. When you go into the different modes, it actually changes the ambient lighting. So because I'm in sport mode, red means sport, red means race, there's red ambient lighting now. But let's go ahead, go on throttle with this H-Track. I do have it set in the highest regen braking. Normally I like to shut that off when I'm going through the twisty bits, but I feel like the system in this Ioniq 5 really works well. But with the large head-up display, if you're ready, I'm ready. On throttle! That is what makes an EV so fun right there. But really, really balanced. Like I said, it's gonna surprise you how well this vehicle handles. All right, guys, here we are, the bird's eye view behind the wheel of this Ioniq 5. That's Ioniq with a Q. You can see, like I was telling you, getting to everything is well within reach. Easy to read. The steering wheel doesn't block any of the gauge instrumentation, which is nice. Right now, I have it in normal. This is sport, and then back to eco. So you could see how each of the different modes is going to change the screen in front of you. And then you'll also notice how once the choice erases, you can see that distribution of power. This is normally rear-wheel drive, but we do have those all-wheel drive set up with the electric motor up front. But even over this torn up road, the ride quality is really, really nice, and the seat material is spot on, the comfort money where you want it. Now, you do have those paddles in the lower left-hand corner. It tells you the regen, and you could easily see how to do one pedal operation in this vehicle is so easy, because you just hit the pedal to where it shows one pedal, and this is where you're gonna be able to do your on throttle and your braking all within the same pedal. Guys, it's been one type of electrifying day here on Raiti's Rides with this Ioniq 5. I definitely want to thank Lori and the rest of the team over at Hyundai USA for getting us access to this press fleet vehicle. Let me know what you think. Has Hyundai done enough to bring you towards electrification for this to be your first electric vehicle? Would you rather go with Kia and the EV6, or are you gonna be like all the people in your neighborhood and be cool and go get yourself a Tesla? Let me know in the comment section which way you would go. But until we are on throttle again, if you're on your way out, hit that subscribe button. I promise you it's worthwhile. Come back for more. If you are a subscriber, thank you for being part of the Raiti's Rides family. If you want to help us keep making great content just for you in the channel, click that link in the description. Get yourself some Raiti's Rides merch. Got to give it up to the queen behind the lens. She electrifies everybody's life with her awesome camera skills. Show Lori some love in the comment section. Thank you, Lori, for all that you do. And just like always, guys, I'll see you on the next ride.